President Reed, honorable members of the Board of Aldermen, distinguished guests, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. And I know our distinguished guests include the ladies from the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Welcome to City Hall on your 5th annual day, the Delta Day in the city of St. Louis. And it was great to talk with you earlier, and I want to thank you again for all the things that you do to help improve the quality of life of the people in this region and in St. Louis City in particular. You know, I'm here this morning to talk again and to give my report on the state of the city of St. Louis. In the last 12 months, the city and its neighborhoods have seen some changes that have made our lives, in many very important ways, healthier, richer, and safer. In the first place, there are simply more of us. The U.S. Census Bureau, which annually estimates the city's populations, has agreed that our population last July was 353,837, an increase from the previous July and 2 Julys before it. It is not a dramatic jump, about 6,000 more St. Louisans since the last census, but it has been a steady and welcome one. There are many factors that have contributed to our success. City government continues to be more effective and efficient and proactive. We're fulfilling requests for services much faster. The national media have discovered and are writing a lot more about our unique spaces and our historic places. Visitors, newcomers, longtime residents have been talking to their friends and family about the advantages of our many close-knit neighborhoods and about the experiences of living near great attractions like Busch Stadium, City Museum, and Forest Park. Downtown has come alive, and it is now home to thousands of new residents and dozens of new shops and restaurants. But we've also seen growth in other city neighborhoods that haven't seen investment in decades. Visitation Park, Fox Park, Benton Park West, Forest Park Southeast, the Greater West End north of Delmar, and Old North St. Louis are among the neighborhoods being rediscovered as great places to live. After decades of disinvestment, property values in the city are rising faster than virtually anywhere else in the St. Louis region. According to statistics, the region's realtors, home prices for the region realtors, home prices in the city have gone up an average of 83% in the last 6 years. The building division has seen a 40% increase in the number of permits that we've issued compared to in the last 4 years compared to the previous years, the 4 years before that. According to the Home Builders Association, the city has produced nearly 24,000 new or substantially rehabilitated homes from 2001 through February of this year. As we attract new residents, we're also working to improve the quality of homes occupied by our existing residents. Our Problem Properties Task Force has forced landlords to repair and renovate thousands of units. Since 2001, we have worked to create or rehabilitate more than 5,600 affordable homes in the city, both rental and owner-occupied. And the number of vacant buildings in the LRA inventory has dropped from 2,500 to 1,500. All of these numbers matter. For example, one happy consequence of our progress is that Chief Sherman George and his firefighters have responded to 30% fewer fires. And we're making progress in other areas. The percentage of our children tested with elevated lead levels in their blood is going down. We have seen a 26% drop in the city's population of chronically homeless people as our plan to match housing and services to the people begins to work. Not only are we creating more and better residential opportunities, we are living healthier lives. Mortality rates from heart disease, cancer, and stroke are falling among city residents. We continue to help our most vulnerable citizens as well. For instance, last year more than $350,000 in winter energy assistance grants were distributed to low-income, elderly, and disabled city residents through our partnership with Heat Up St. Louis. Last summer, we partnered with Cool Down St. Louis to reduce heat-related deaths and illnesses throughout the city. We have a lot of people in the St. Louis community to thank for that. None of this growth and improvement has happened by itself, and it won't keep happening without all of us continuing to work together. The past year has presented a couple of important opportunities to show off our teamwork. The city was hit by 2 terrible storms. Many of our residents and hundreds of thousands of people throughout the city and region lost electricity, heat, and air conditioning. Jobs, schools, stores, and daycare centers were closed for days, hours, and in some cases, weeks. But our city's quick, coordinated response, in many cases prompted by urgent calls for services from you aldermen, won acclaim and even an award or two. I want to acknowledge Chief Moqua, Chief George, Jeff Rainford, Ron Smith, Gary Bess, Todd Walterman, Marjorie Melton, Dave Vizentainer, Fred Dunlap, Pam Walker, Bill Seedoff, Sam Simon, and Gary Crispin for doing a great job. And many of you. The people of St. Louis owe a debt of gratitude to you aldermen as well for what you did to assist your constituents. But the real story was about the hundreds of city employees who worked tirelessly out in the streets and behind the scenes, many of them without power at their own home, and all under very difficult circumstances. They all deserve our thanks, and I hope you will join me in a round of applause for all of them. Other great teams are working together, improving the airport, building a new animal house, a new ballpark village, a new multimodal transportation center in downtown, a new gaming complex, assembling a new wireless network, and planning for the first new recreation centers in the city in over 3 decades. Because we have worked together, the number of abused women who can now find help at our Family Justice Center has gone up. The number of kids with access to after-school programs is up, while the amount of illegally dumped debris has gone down significantly. Our election board, once a source of scandal and national disgrace, has regained its professionalism. We can now, in the city, go to bed on election night earlier than St. Louis County. And that's something, that's really something we can't take for granted. St. Louis is definitely back, and it isn't even a secret anymore. Our progress in vitalizing our city has won national notice and international acclaim in the last year. Besides enjoying the out-of-town newspaper articles, it was my great pleasure to join Planning Director Roland Stanley in London this year to accept on the city's behalf the World Leadership Award for Urban Renewal. The award is an international recognition of our progress that should make each one of us here and many St. Louisans proud. Working together, we have created a culture of change that empowers people, residents, city employees, businesses, and elected officials to improve the quality of life and opportunities for the people in our neighborhoods. It is difficult to grasp how far the city has come without remembering how far it had fallen. Between 1950 and the year 2000, the city's neighborhoods lost more people, more jobs, more buildings, and more businesses than New Orleans lost to Hurricane Katrina. Finding our way back has taken time, money, and plenty of hard work and cooperation. But the job is not done yet, and I know we all realize that. While there is much to celebrate, we have to remain focused on important challenges. Our city, like the entire St. Louis region, has been jolted by mergers, acquisitions, and business upheaval. In the past 10 years or so, TWA, Union Pacific, Bay Department Stores, Pulitzer, and other St. Louis companies have been bought up or moved to other places, taking with them plenty of their own jobs. We have made up for those job losses by attracting new jobs to St. Louis, but simply replacing the old jobs, the lost jobs, with new ones isn't good enough. We want to grow our jobs in the future. So I've asked Barbara Geisman, the Director of Development, and her team to step up the efforts to attract good jobs to our city. That means aggressively recruiting new businesses and convincing existing businesses to stay here in the city and to expand. Creating a climate for new entrepreneurs, maximizing our available resources and initiatives, and capitalizing on our many strengths. To support the campaign to retain good employers and attract new ones to the city, I want to concentrate the coming year's efforts on 4 fundamentals that will make the city neighborhoods the places more people choose to live and invest. I want to make neighborhoods safer. I want to protect our ability to provide incentives to spur private neighborhood development when necessary. I want to increase the number of chronically unemployed citizens who are prepared for the workplace. And I want to provide immediate alternatives for city children trapped in the failed St. Louis Public School District. Let's start with crime. Crime is not the same in every neighborhood. In fact, we know the vast majority of our neighborhoods are safe anytime, but some neighborhoods are not. No one should be satisfied, regardless of where you live in the city, until every child can play outside and walk to school without fear. And until every senior citizen can feel safe in his or her home and not have to live with bars on the window. And where every parent feels comfortable raising a family. We have made great progress fighting crime in 2002, 2003, and 2004. But we went backwards in 2005 and the first part of 2006. There are a lot of reasons that happened. But one important reason is that the federal government drastically cut funds for local law enforcement programs that we used effectively in our neighborhoods. That's why I'm lobbying for a federal bill co-sponsored by Senators McCaskill, Clinton, Obama, and others that would increase funding for local law enforcement across the country to more than $1 billion. Our share would go to reinforce the efforts of the Chief of Police and the prosecuting attorney. Last year I told you I would push for authorization from the Missouri General Assembly to allow city voters to increase the sales tax to reduce crime. I did, but unfortunately that bill failed and it died on the last day of session. I'm pushing that legislation again this year. But thanks to all of you and the voters, we were able to put in place a long-delayed increase in our graduated business license tax. And the proceeds of that tax are going toward enhancing the effectiveness of our law enforcement. Without waiting for either Washington, D.C. or Jefferson City, Chief Moquah has added more officers to our anti-crime unit. He believes that a large percentage of crime is committed by a relatively small number of criminals. The anti-crime unit targets those criminals. To prosecute them, Circuit Attorney Joyce has created a new career criminal unit in her office, and the city has opened another floor in the Downtown Justice Center to keep these criminals off the streets in our neighborhoods. We also expanded our problem properties unit and important programs like Night Watch. Although it's too early to call it a trend, these efforts have shown early results. So far this year, crime is down. At this point in my public speeches, I usually say something harsh about the circuit judges. I have long agreed with city residents, prosecutors, and police officers who believe that far too many of our problems are caused by convicted offenders who are out on probation or offenders who receive sentences shorter than their crimes that they committed would warrant. The fact is that most of the circuit judges are doing their part to fight crime, and they're doing it well. In the past year, they adopted a new docketing system that will keep criminal defense lawyers from shopping for a favorite judge. I think it will reduce the number of convicts who are put on probation for one crime while they are already serving probation on another. If we keep working together, residents, police, prosecutors, judges, and city government, we can make all our neighborhoods safer for us and more attractive to new investment. How do we do that? I strongly believe that we have to be prepared to provide incentives to spur development in our more challenging neighborhoods. If the private sector was going to invest in those neighborhoods without incentives, they already would have done so. We must find ways to jumpstart that development in more areas. There are 3 specific ideas working together that will do just that. First, I have made passage of state legislation to establish a tax credit to assemble land for new development in low-income neighborhoods, one of our highest priorities in Jeff City. Such a credit would make it much more likely that neighborhoods that cannot attract investment on their own will see the same new life that trendier neighborhoods in the city are already enjoying. Second, we have set aside nearly $2 million in community block grant funds to spur development in challenged neighborhoods in North St. Louis. Now that the elections are over and all of you are firmly in place, Barbara Geisler will be working with you to see that these funds are put toward uses that have a long-term positive impact for your constituents in our neighborhoods. Third, I intend to work with you and President Reed to continue to use tax increment financing to attract private investment in those city neighborhoods where it's most needed and where TIF will work. And he and I will oppose any blanket policy that seeks to ban or restrict residential TIFs. At this time last year, I told you that the budget would include funds for 5 new job placement specialists at the St. Louis Agency on Training and Employment. We did that, and it's working. We're on track now to place more than 3,500 people in full or part-time jobs this year. With the help of the business community, we're also expanding our summer jobs programs for high school kids. But this is not nearly enough. As our city continues to grow, we are confronted with the challenge of finding better solutions to decades-old problems. Unemployment and underemployment are at unacceptably high levels in the city. Our schools continue to do a very poor job of preparing our youth for the workforce and higher education. In short, we need to increase our efforts to improve the quality of life for many more families in the city. So today I'm pleased to announce that I've directed Rodney Krim and his staff to create workforce development action plans in the following major industries: construction, healthcare, information technology, advanced manufacturing, biomedical and life sciences, and retail sales. These action plans will be part of Hire St. Louis, our new initiative to involve broad sections of our community in providing training, apprenticeship, job placement, job retention services for more residents in our city. It's also vitally important that our residents, including minority residents, help rebuild the city and are part of the successes that we are now enjoying. So I once again send to you a bill to create workforce goals for city projects. We must also support businesses that are located in the city. So I will also send you legislation to give preference to city businesses when we do business. Of course, the best anti-poverty program is a good education. Providing a good public education is one of the most important steps that we can take to improve the future of the city of St. Louis. If all of our children, and I mean all of our children, do not have access to a good quality education, we will not be able to reduce poverty. Without good public schools, it will be impossible to turn around our more challenging neighborhoods. For decades now, families, both white and African American, have left the city to put their children in good schools in the suburbs. In 1970, more than 100,000 children attended St. Louis public schools. Today, that number is fewer than 33,000. Not only are fewer kids attending the St. Louis public schools, but enrollment in the city parochial schools is falling as the cost goes up. Fewer families are sending their kids to St. Louis County schools as well as the segregation settlement is phased out. Our city cannot continue to grow if we continue to lose families because of a shortage of quality, affordable schools. That's why it is critically important that we fix the St. Louis public schools. The St. Louis public schools did not fail overnight, and they will not be fixed overnight either. But our children cannot, and the city cannot wait either. That's why I support quality charter schools. Charter schools are free public schools, available to all children. Because they operate outside the control of the St. Louis public schools bureaucracy and culture, they can be innovative, creative, and entrepreneurial. Their students can be exposed to instruction that prepares them for work, college, and citizenship. Some charter schools, like the Seed Academy and St. Louis Live for Life Academy, focus on at-risk kids and kids who've been failed by more traditional public schools. In addition to a good education, we must also give our kids meaningful things to do after school and on weekends and during the summer. Thanks to the voters and to your support as well for the VJC lease, we will have new resources to do just that. In the next fiscal year, we'll have an additional $500,000 for recreation programs in the city. The following year, that number will grow to $900,000 because of the VJC lease. This will ensure that more kids are safe, enriched, and active. Some of the new programs in the coming year will include tutoring, sports, arts, music, and dance. Kids in these programs will have a chance to develop their leadership skills, do their homework, learn healthy lifestyles, and get much-needed social services. Last year at this time, I told you we were working on a strategic plan to offer after-school programs to every child in the city of St. Louis, regardless of income, by the year 2010. We have finished the plan. At my request, Arches and St. Louis for Kids have taken the lead to implement the plan. That will ensure that all the resources and organizations that exist for our kids are working together. Coordinating these resources and services will be a priority in the coming year so that every child has access to the resources he or she needs, delivered by professionals who are skilled at these particular services. And I'll work with Chairman Terry Kennedy and the African American Caucus to create programs to give young men something fun and productive to do on Friday and Saturday nights. These four areas, neighborhood safety, economic neighborhood development, jobs, training programs for the chronically unemployed, and more chances for our children to learn and grow will be the things that you and I can work on together in the coming year. Given how far we've already come together, the hard road seems only daunting, not impossible. I want to close this morning by directing your attention to one other serious challenge in the coming year. Cities, counties, and states all across the country face large unfunded balances in their pension systems. We are no exception. While our systems are sound, they are costing us much more money than we've been able to budget by way of contributions to those systems. By a rough calculation, combined, you're going to have to increase payments to the system and reduce their cost by about $18 million a year. We have a team that includes President Reed, Alderman Conway, and Alderman Burgali working on a plan, and we expect to bring you this plan by sometime this summer. President Reed, Alderman, distinguished guests, St. Louis has been a great city in the past, and we are on the path to becoming a great city again. In the last 6 years, we have made great progress, some of which I have presented in this address. But I remain convinced, and I know you do as well, that our best days are still ahead of us. And I look forward to working with each and one of you individually and this board collectively to reach our goal of becoming the very best city that this city can become. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be here, and God bless you. Best wishes.